This episode, should you take a renocation? Well, what is a renocation, you might ask? What Johnny's already wanting to chime in, but we're calling a renocation when you combine taking a vacation and having work done on your home while you're at vacation, so that you might come home to finished products or finished projects, excuse me, versus coming home to an unfinished project. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled, Should You Take a Renocation? And we're also going to add some tips for if you do decide to take a renocation. To help me explain, here is my ever-cheerful co-host and old buddy, Johnny. Johnny, what has been going on this week? What do you got going on? Anything exciting? Taking a renocation anytime soon?
No, I'm not, because I don't have the money to do some much needed renos.
I'm actually contemplating.
Although, here's the deal, right? We're going to be doing it, ourselves for a couple of things. But so that'll be I don't know quite if let's see, cation would be attached to the end of that. But
never mind. I was going to say, it sounds like something else. All right, anyway.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, with that, let me just, before we go any further, let's talk about subscribing and liking our stations, both on YouTube and on whichever podcast player you're listening to. If you would, it really helps us get the word out. We're trying to get the word out. So if you would like us and subscribe, leave us a good review if you can. Send us a question or something like that you also want. You can do that on YouTube as well. So we do look at the comments and we do respond to the comments most of the time. So with that, we are on to this renocation. I just wanted to say, Johnny, I am contemplating a renocation right now. As you know, I'm working on building my shed, and I have to get some concrete work done. And I could do the concrete work myself, but I'm sort of in the middle of trying to figure out whether it's worth it to do the concrete work or whether I should have somebody do it. And I've got this trip coming up I'm going to be gone for probably a couple weeks.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because I questioned you about this before.
Yeah, so I'm running the numbers right now to see, but I'm sort of thinking about if I could get that scheduled while I'm gone, it'd be great, because I'd come home and it'd be done.
So part of your numbers, and this kind of fits into this conversation, is the work, your work number, your effort number.
Yes, and yes, there's this effort number.
Yeah, because you're not 20 anymore.
Correct.
And especially on the concrete side of things.
Yeah, it's a lot of weight, is what it is, and a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of weight.
And so yes. I'm with you.
Yeah, so are you don't have to tell us the numbers, but are you kind of within striking distance of yourself, or having someone else do it?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that so far it's right on the edge, and if it's on the edge, I'll favor it to having somebody do it, largely because why?
Yeah, sure.
So
time is money, right?
Yeah, it's more money than what I could do it for myself. But the question is, do I want to put myself through that aggravation? And that answer is probably no. And then along on this topic, part of the reason that we did this topic is because I've got this. I'm going on a 2-week trip, and in this 2-week trip, it's like I could come back and this thing could be done, and then I could move on to the next part of the shed, which is the framing and stuff. Which is
calling me over to help you do the.
Right. Right. Exactly. But that stuff is not outside my physical end, and it's a little bit more fun. And plus, because it's concrete, it needs time to dry. Right. So it's got. And then there's
that. Well, folks, Larry's building a pretty good sized shed in the back of his house.
Yeah, 12 by 24. I'm really excited. So.
yeah. So that's actually a lot of concrete.
It's a pretty good amount. Yeah, it's almost 6 yards is what I'm figuring, and it probably is going to be a little more than that. So
yeah,
and that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Several tons.
Yeah.
But okay. But anyway, so back on this topic. So this is we are proponents of, if you're doing a major renovation in your house, that you should probably not be in the house when you do the major renovations, and we've discussed this in the past for a whole series of reasons, mess and noise and all of these kinds of things. So it came to me kind of as a revelation that maybe we should do these things while we're on vacation. So I thought we would go through the pros and the cons of doing this kind of project when you are not at the facility, right? When you're not home, as it were, you're on vacation, right? What do you think, John? Is it a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up we've done some shows on this before on doing renos or remodels.
Right. Remodels, yeah.
And if you're not going to do it yourself, you have to, you're going to hire somebody out. And then I think our tips, if I remember correctly, were, things that, the stress levels.
Yes.
Dealing with contractors, dealing with, just everyday, disruption in the house. And I think that's where you're coming from here on this topic, is that it would be nice to avoid that.
Yes.
Because it can be a real stress-inducing.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
It's very, very stressful when you're doing a major reno, and I personally have done many major renos, mostly on rental properties. And like, as I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, I mean, Johnny, I bought that particular camper to do those renos because I didn't want to live in those houses because it's the biggest thing is it's a mess. It's just a mess.
And that's doing it yourself.
And that's doing it myself, right? And that's with nobody living in the house. So there's this huge mess. And there's also just the whole thing of like, to the point you just made of you've got workers coming in and out and music and they're using your bathroom and blah, blah, blah. But those are all the negative sides. But these are reasons where it's kind of great when you think about it. If you're going on vacation, you're not going to be there anyway. So let them go in and do the work. And so that's kind of the idea of it. Some of the other things that are advantages to not being there is if they need to shut the water off, who cares? You're not there. You don't care. Don't really worry about it. Workers can start early. They don't have to work on your schedule. They can work on their schedule because you're not there, as long as they work within the code schedules, right? Because a lot of municipalities have a time start thing for the neighbors. But you've got that going on. I know, John, when you do work at somebody's house, do you like them to be there?
Not looking over my shoulder.
I understand. Right? So in some ways, from a contractor standpoint, at least for me, I like to have the customers, I'm going to say leave me alone is a better term in my case. But if it's a major reno, this used to be something that my ex-wife now used to just bother me. I'd be doing a project, right? Johnny, to chime in here. And she's standing over you. She's going, well, that's a mess right now. Like, I'm like, I'm not done. Leave me. I gotta finish, let me finish. Let me do the job, right. And you know what I'm talking about. If anybody that's done those things.
it's, you try to concentrate on doing the job and getting it done. You're thinking about other things. And thinking about, somebody in the background and hey, listen, if they're curious and they're asking the right questions and just wondering what you're doing, I have no problem with that.
I don't have any problem with that.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. But I think from a homeowner standpoint on this topic is that, it's nice to be out of there. Listen, if you're having your basement done, and you can have people come, if you have a basement that you can get into, like a walkout basement or something like that.
Yep. You can segment it.
That's one thing. But if you're, let's say, having a bathroom done upstairs or just a remodel of your kitchen or whatever up there where you're in the main living area, that's a tough one, man.
It's tough.
That is
It really is tough.
That is a tough one. And so I think what you're driving at here is that it would be nice to schedule this around the time when you're out of there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just take your silverware with you though. But
well, so that's on the negative side. That's actually in the negative notes, John. Just so you understand. We've got.
Here comes Larry. Lock up the silverware.
Here's one of the other. This is on the positive side. Here's one of those things. When you're watching the shows and the people walk in and they go, "Wow!" Like look at the changes you did to your house. You can achieve that if you do. In so many ways.
But it is right. I mean, they make TV shows out of that, right? So
sure.
I mean, it's nice to be a little stress free. And let's say that it's like a 2-week deal. Okay.
Right.
um, it would be nice to be out of there. I mean,
It really would,
I hear what you're
folks.
saying, and
Yeah.
and if you can schedule it around a time when you can go off and be, on a vacation
Yeah,
or
all the better, right?
wherever you're going,
Yeah.
and be in a happy place, that would help.
Yeah. So that's kind of this concept, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of this concept. Now let's talk about, and you've already alluded to some of the things, but let's talk about some of the challenges, we'll say, of doing this, right? So probably the first one is just that this is really a question of trust, right? So you are going to have to choose a contractor that you really, really trust. And you might need to take some efforts to protect some of your personal property and things like that, right? So, like John's saying, put the silverware away, hide the valuables. I mean,
An old
you
joke
are
around our house. Yeah.
well, right, but sadly, we live in this world today, and we do have to think about these things.
Yeah.
So, some of the things that you have to be, and we've done a show on hiring contractors, and folks, we've done a 3-part series on hiring contractors. Please go back and look at it. It's probably in our first or second season, but there's a 3-part system, and it's all on how to hire a good contractor. And this is definitely something you have to trust somebody with, because they're going to be in your home and you're not there. And so, what are the potentials? Well, they're going to use the bathrooms. They potentially could be running around the house. This is where hiring the right contractor is going to have control over his people. Or if you're doing an 8x5 bathroom, which is a relatively small project, when I do those alone, or I might have one person with me. All right, I can trust 2 people. You generally don't have a problem, provided I trust the main contractor. I'm not worried about the other person because he's going to control that person, right? If you got a crew coming in and they've got 12 or 15 people, you might not want to do this. This is something to think
Yeah.
about.
Now, I will say that here we go back to who you're hiring.
Right.
Go back to those shows, folks. Get references, so on and so forth. Tell them what you're thinking about doing. To your neighbors and things like that.
Right.
Get and you might even have a neighbor come over every once in a while to kind of look,
to check on it.
check on it,
or a family member, whatever. Somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had to do this ourselves. I mean, for example, we had our hardwood floors redone.
Yeah, you've got to move out.
I had to move out.
Yep.
Everything's out, including us.
Right.
I mean, hell, I had to rent pods for the driveway to
Right.
stash everything in, and what an ordeal, what a mess that was. I hadn't seen the house like that since I first went through a walkthrough when I bought this place.
When you bought it. Yep.
But anyways, but that's true. We had to be out of here for a week.
Yeah. So I mean, and so why not take a vacation, right? I mean, if you can, just schedule it with the vacation. So
you're making a great point. I didn't even think about it then. We just.
But you could have.
But I could have.
Yeah.
I could have easily done that.
So, and one other point I want to make too is qualify your job. Qualify the job, right? I mean, if it's like some things are better for this than others, in my opinion, right? Like if you need your roof done, who cares? They're not
Correct.
coming inside the house, right?
Right.
I mean, you can come back to a new roof, and who cares? It's like my concrete job. It's like my concrete job. They can do it. I'm not gonna micromanage them because I'm hiring them because they know they've done it a million more times than I have. I could. I'm not gonna micromanage them. I'm just gonna tell them go do it. And I come back and it's done. It's like, yay. Same thing with a roof or a big landscape project. Same kind of thing. If you trust your contractor and they're outside the home, that's an easier job than if they're inside your home.
Well, and the other side of this is, thinking about this a little more is that, now's the time if you are going to go on a vacation, think about if you wanted to get something done, maybe now's the time to try to, schedule
put it
that
together.
up.
Yeah, put it together,
Because, in your case, the concrete's got to dry for, 48 hours and, in days and days and days anyways, right before
longer is better.
Longer is better. So,
Longer is better.
why waste the 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly right. Exactly. That's kind of part of part of my motivation is. It's like, yeah, it'll be much more dry than it would be if I wait
No,
3 or 4 days.
it'll be done. It'll be ready to let's move it, right?
Let's right, exactly. We're
Yeah.
ready to build on it. So if you have time constraints like that, it's definitely something to think about if you're going to be, out and about. Anyway, it's just a bit of coordination. It's just a kind of a different way to think about things. And I'm just trying to think what some of the other things are. Oh, well, so this is a big one too. There is one thing that this is a tip as far as if you're going to do this, make sure that people can get a hold of you if they need to. Now, hopefully you've sat down with your contractor in advance and gone through all of the what ifs beforehand, and you want this particular product and you want it done this way, and you've got a good job plan, right? Because you don't want the phone ringing every 10 minutes, hey, should I do this? Should I do that? Because that's why be on vacation then, right? That's not going to work. And if you're in an area where perhaps you don't have cell phone service, say you're going to a national park or something, you might not have cell phone service. You want it to be pretty clear. But at the same time, for big things, you might want them to be able to get a hold of you in some way or another, or an emergency type situation or whatever. But the goal is to not have that. And so, with that, you do have to make allocations for that. I'm looking at my notes here while I do this. Oh, yeah. One of the things they say is you might not get what you ask for. They might paint your house sage green and you want it red or something stupid like that, and I understand that. But again, clear planning in advance will help you with this thing. And picking the right jobs, and then definitely got to pick the right contractor. Be flexible on this things. There's some things that might work or might not work, but it just kind of is what it is. If you're going on vacation, why not, right?
Right.
I mean,
Well, and that's my point. That might be the time that you're. Hey, if I'm going to be gone for a week or 2 weeks, maybe now's the time to be thinking about those. Like I said, thinking about those projects. Why waste the time when
Well, you're getting more done.
Yeah.
Right. You're getting more done. You're going to have it done anyway. You can either sit there and have them pound and bang on your house while you're in it, or you can be out, doing whatever you want to do.
I'll tell you one perfect example is if I had to have my driveway redone.
Oh, you don't want to be there.
I'm out of here.
You want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be happy to go. I'll be happy to be out of here on vacation. Rip it. If you're going to rip up my driveway and report and I can't drive on it for, a week. Great. I'm out.
Why not?
I'm done.
Yeah.
I next time I come home, I drive up on a brand new
driveway, right? Nice, right?
So
and again, that and using that's a good example, because using that as a good example is it's not a hugely technically difficult job where they're certainly not going to call you with a whole lot of questions, right?
No, they're only going to cut water lines and cables.
Well,
other than that, you might come home to
But that falls on them.
Yeah.
I mean, they do those sorts of things, and hopefully they're gonna repair it. Well, again, back to planning. That the contractor should be liable for those items to fix and or leave your home in the same shape it was when you took it over. But that's a good example of one that to me would be one that definitely go on vacation. Why not?
And hopefully, and the other side is hopefully they got the right address when they start ripping up the driveway. You come home and your neighbor's got a new driveway.
Folks, we laugh about this, and yet,
believe me, it's happened.
And there's a
I mean,
reason.
if the doctor takes out the wrong kidney,
when they mark on your side when you go into surgery, this side only. Yeah, there's a reason, folks. There's a reason.
This driveway only.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable.
And we're talking about concrete guys here. So sorry, concrete guys.
Anyway, all right. But anyway, that's the concept. It's called it's an urban word. It's in the Urban Dictionary. It's called renovation. Then there is the renovation vacation, which we'll talk about in a whole different show. And it is what it is. To John and I, we call that a job.
Well,
so,
in that case, I'll make that distinction of you and I might be packing up and going to a cabin in the mountains that we renovate.
Yep.
Or a lake house, and
yep.
two people, and that's a vacation. Make a vacation out of the renovation. We'll talk about that later, but that's another topic.
That's another topic.
So,
all right, Johnny. We got anything else to add on this one?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah,
You know.
it's just a little something to think about, right? If you're going on vacation, is there anything you want to get done?
Like on a spaceship, like
yeah, if you're going on the spaceship,
you got picked up by some aliens,
it seems to happen.
and they're scoping you out.
they always get me back in town. That's the part I don't understand. Like, how do I see these things, do these things, and I'm always back within like an hour? It just doesn't make sense to me. But I guess that's what happens when you can travel at the speed.
And then you wind up, you got to stand for a day. So, okay.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
All right, folks. Listen.
Johnny, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, it's questions at Handyman Pros Radio Show. Johnny, take us home from there.
All right, folks. Listen, good tips here for, next time you go on vacation, maybe it's time to get some things done that you've been wanting to get done. So anyways, think about that. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.